Recording in progress.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the April 5th, 2023 meeting of the Hamilton Zoning Board of Appeals. Our agenda is application for a special permit by Nicole Gray and William Miller for the property at 255 Woodbury Street, seeking to construct an accessory apartment. Public hearing for the property located at 505 Bay Road, Harrigan's Hamilton Properties LLC. Appeal of the town building inspector's decision regarding permitted signs. Special permit application for the property owned by Paul Tober at 438 Asbury Street, seeking approval to construct an apartment under zoning bylaw 3.6, accessory apartment. Public hearing for property owned by Sarah and Douglas Cook, located at 11 Russ Street. Applicant seeking a finding under bylaw section 5.3.4.5 to create a full second floor of living area at a front porch, and a bay window. We do have some meeting minutes to approve. If you're here for the 438 Asbury Street application by Paul Tober, that's being continued to the May meeting, May 3rd, at the request of the applicant. So, first item is applicant of Nicole Gray and William Miller, 255 Woodbury Street, for an accessory apartment. Is the applicant here, or? Okay, if you'd go to the dais to...
Not that it matters or anything, but when you were reading the opening lines there, you were saying constructing. Actually, it's being constructed, but it was already there when we moved in.
Okay, well, first of all, identify yourself, just for the record.
William Miller.
Okay, and now tell us what's there, what you're proposing.
Do you want to do the actual talking? Yeah.
So my name is Nicole Gray, and my parents and I own 255 Woodbury Street in trust. So we had a fire on July 30th, and our house is under construction, reconstruction. We have always, since we purchased the house 11 years ago, had an accessory apartment, but I guess it was not recognized by the town. So we're coming before you tonight to get that accessory apartment recognized by the town. It has always been there. When we purchased the house 11 years ago, it was there. And we moved in together. My family lives downstairs, and my parents live upstairs.
Okay, so do we have the plans? I didn't have.
Yeah, there it is somewhere.
I have the plan that Rich gave me today.
Yeah, that's 11.
Okay. Yeah, but I know I got it for some reason when I put my packet together. I didn't find that filing, but.
It's on the top of what was given to us, I think.
No.
Not,
Oh, it's this plan. We have a site plan, but not.
So when you look at the
Yeah.
plans that you have, those are the contractor's plans that are building the house? The building inspector gave us these plans?
The updated plans.
okay, well,
He gave them to us today. So
okay,
this is-
maybe, why don't,
The accessory apartment, and then the one behind is my parents' upstairs living space.
that we have. So this is the proposed?
This is the proposed accessory apartment, and then this is my parents' upstairs living space. That's what the second floor looks like.
Okay, what, could you bring those so, here and,
Ones we have, so I don't know if it's. maybe-
okay, as I say, so let me, okay.
Previous.
Okay, and then we also got a, in our packets, a parking layout, I guess. Is that,
Yes, that's the driveway.
okay. Okay, so we did get a memorandum from the building inspector who says seeking a permit under 3.6 for an accessory apartment since the house was built, fire last summer, residential unit on each floor. Advised the owner to seek the special permit during reconstruction, so. Okay, so it's 860 square feet, so that's within the
Yep.
required.
It says it can't exceed 900 square feet.
Right.
Is this plan very similar to what was there before?
It is very similar. We have not changed the footprint of the,
Okay. So let me just quickly go through the requirements, make sure that it's going to maintain, so when completed, it's going to maintain the look of a single-family dwelling?
yes.
Okay. It'll be a complete separate housekeeping unit,
Yes.
okay? Not more than 900 square feet, there's one bathroom,
It does. It only has
two
one.
bedrooms, and that's allowed, okay? So can you show me where the entrance, so the entrance, I guess this is the entrance to the outside,
Well, it actually has three
has three.
entrances, so you can come in, I don't. You can walk in the kitchen from the outside, you can leave the common storage area to the outside, and then there is a door that connects to a staircase that goes up to the front door. So there's three different ways that you can leave.
This is talking about the other page, Bruce.
Do you want me to point it
Yeah.
out?
No, I'm looking at that. I was just wondering how those, are those stairs exterior or interior?
The stairs are interior.
Interior,
They go to both levels, upstairs and
yeah. They just aren't drawn on the lower level.
Okay. Is there a, what would be considered a primary entrance?
The front, probably the front door. But we use our kitchen entrance to enter
Okay,
our unit.
okay. You understand this has to be, remain in single ownership?
Yes,
You can't condominiumize it?
yes, we will continue to live there.
And so one of these parking spaces will be for the accessory unit?
Yes, my parents have one car, and then my husband and I each have a car.
Okay. Okay, it's, the lot's at least 10,000 square feet. And this is the only structure on the lot?
Yes, there's no other structure.
Okay. You're gonna live in the property at least one, so it's not gonna be a complete rental?
It's
Or it's
not,
not-
it's not really going to be a rental at all.
Okay, I mean, the
It will be
bylaw
our
says
family.
that a, an owner has to live in one of the
Yes,
units, okay? And we also got a letter from the health inspector saying that the septic system is adequate. Okay. Any questions from members of the board? Any questions from members of the public? It appears to meet all the requirements of the bylaw. You still looking at it, Bruce?
No, no. I'm just
Okay.
looking.
It looks fairly straightforward. So then, are there any particular conditions that the board would like to see imposed, other than those that are contained in the general bylaw? And I guess I should ask, is there anyone on the Zoomosphere that wishes to be heard regarding this matter? No? Okay. We're not getting the ratings on the Zoomosphere today.
Yeah, they got a little lively here.
Okay, then,
Have three folks who are observing the meetings.
okay.
Always got
Okay,
something.
I don't get paid by the viewer, so, yeah. So I'd entertain a motion to grant the special permit for the accessory permit for the property at accessory apartment at 255 Woodbury Street.
I motion to grant the special permit for 255 Woodbury Street.
Okay, it's been moved by David Parentchief. Is there a second? Okay, because Mr. Gingrich is a statutory abutter to this property, he will not be voting on this. It will be Mr. Parentchief, Ms. Phillip, and myself. So any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye, okay. It's allowed. The procedure from here is I have 14 days to file a decision with the town clerk. You'll get a copy from the date that it's filed with the town clerk. There's a statutory 20-day appeal period that has to run. Then you can get your building permit. You should also then get a certified copy of the decision from the town clerk and record it at the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you
Yep.
so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night now.
Good night. Okay,
Folks, is that your purse?
You have a purse behind?
Purse?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Have a good night.
okay, next is appeal by the owner of Harrigan's Hamilton Properties LLC for a decision by the building inspector regarding signs at 505 Bay Road. Is there anyone here from the, okay, so, you- if you'd identify yourself, please.
My name is Gregory Solonier. I'm an owner of Harrigan's Liquors, and I brought with me our general manager, Larry.
What you'd like to tell us.
When it comes to the signage, as I can attest, I've worked for Harrigan's for 15 years. The neons in the windows, or we have had neons running. Actually, Larry ran them, the prior owner, 24 hours a day. I've been there for 15 years. As far as I know, there are no actual physical records because the neons were, handwritten things. They were put in shortly after the remodeling in 1999. Prior to that, there, as far as we know, were actually neons running in the building. We have been there since pre-Prohibition. We were one of the first liquor stores in Massachusetts, I believe second or third. There were a lot at that time. That's about the extent of what I can say.
Okay. Have the Have the signs changed since?
So there are three of the neons. The one that says fine wines, the organic wines, and the cigars sign have been there running since I've been there. The craft beer emporium was put in September 2013.
Okay. Okay. Before we hear from the public, any questions from members of the board?
Are you guys, have neighbors said that they dislike the neon
We've never actually, I've never received an actual complaint from a neighbor. If they were a problem, so initially we were running them 24 hours a day. And I can understand if somebody, if somebody came to us and said, could you shut them up? We would have. It was just, it was what was always done. There was literally a piece of tape and a thing that said on the switch since I've worked there. We just continued with what was going on.
There apparently was a complaint by a neighbor, so I have some before, and maybe, I gather the neighbors are here, but if you want to say what you'd like to say before I get into usually doing it a little backwards, but you made the complaint, so.
Sure. Yeah, I'd like to maybe set the facts a little straighter than they were presented. Jim Dooley, I'm with my wife Cynthia Dooley. We live across the street at 522 Bay Road. We use a post office box. We've owned the property since 1999, prior to the fire, prior to the rebuilding. The lights have not been on 24 hours a day in the windows, as was stated. That's absolutely not true. It's only after the new owners took possession of it a little over 2 years ago, and they decided to leave the lights on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So I think our feeling is that back in 1999, when the building was reconstructed, I'm sure you guys are aware, there was a special permit issued for the grandfathering of the business use of the building inside the residential district. At the time, it's actually 4 signs, but we'll call it 3, were permitted per that special permit back in 1999. The 2 signs on the end of the building, the east and west side of the building, which are larger than signs typically permitted in the town. The internally illuminated neon sign on the roof facing east and west, so that's really 4 by the count per the bylaws. They've got 4 signs per the building permit in 1999. It's very clear that no additional signs were to be added to the building. It's set forth in the 1999 decision. I believe it was late 2021, they were back in front of the town asking for permission for a sandwich board. I don't know that anyone really had issue with the sandwich board, but that gave them more signage. So our feeling is, when is enough enough? It's a residential district. They've got more signage than is permitted in the business district currently with the permitted signs. And they want to now have permission to have 45 square feet of neon signs projecting towards the neighbors' houses. I just don't find that, fair, to be honest. I mean, there are zoning bylaws for a reason, and this particular owner was aware of the notice of violation from the town. Did not act within the 30 days that they were required to act. They filed the appeal beyond the deadline. They did not turn off the lights until what I think now is 9 o'clock, until the day they filed the appeal, 3 days beyond the deadline. So I just don't think they're acting in good faith within the neighborhood. It's not our responsibility to approach them about the lights. I don't feel it is. I called the town, and the town advised me to file a complaint, and the town would handle it. The town did. So I don't think the facts that were presented by the owner are anywhere near accurate.
Okay. I'm both a fact finder, but obviously, let's be clear, I was involved. If you look at the 1999 decision, it was signed by a William F. Bowler, I believe. I've lived in town since 1986, so I have some knowledge of what the situation is. there've been, I know in the prior building, so there've been neon signs in the windows since at least 1986. My view, I understand your unhappiness, but I think, and I usually like to let my colleagues speak first, but I just thought since I am kind of familiar with this, I'd set the scene. I believe so the signs have been there for 35 years, or some type of sign. Well, okay, that I asked that quite, but let me just, the Section 7 of Chapter 40A says, no criminal or civil action intended to compel the removal, alteration, or relocation of a structure by reason of an alleged violation of this chapter or an ordinance or bylaw adopted under this chapter shall be maintained unless it is commenced within 10 years of the commencement of the alleged violation. And so these signs have been there over 10 years. So I think one point may be that you know, they are grandfathered under arguably, we haven't decided that, but that would be my, you know, initial reaction. Now, in the filing by the petitioner, the petitioner said that they would be willing to have the signs lighted only during business hours. I guess I'll just ask the question, would that be an acceptable?
Well, if I could, because I had someone look into that chapter, I'm sorry, Title 7, Chapter 48, Section 7. And I think it's pretty clear that it's referring to a structure. Now, I'm not.
Well, structure structure includes anything you need a building permit for. And I think you would have needed a building permit for these signs if they were coming ab initio. And so now, more than 10 years having passed, basically it's, you know, the statute of limitations, so to speak, has run. But I guess, you know, we realize it's a business, grandfathered business in a residential area. So we'd like to come, I think the board would probably like to come to a reasonable accommodation. I'm just asking, would having the signs lighted only during business hours be a reasonable accommodation to you?
I mean, if you're asking for my thoughts on that, I don't know what business hours are for a liquor store. So he acknowledged the signs were added after the permit in 1999. And the history has been that they kind of began being turned on more and more, but usually the business was closed by 6-ish. On the weekends, on Sundays, it was closed even earlier than that. So I don't know, to my wife's point, what are business hours? If Cabby's comes in and buys it, they're going to keep it open till 11, 12? I don't know.
Well, no, they can't. I mean, I think the business hour, well, the selectmen set the business hours, but it could not be in any event. I don't think general business hours, even in the business district, are from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. So the signs couldn't be on till.
Okay, till 11.
But the selectmen could make the hours shorter. We don't set the hours.
What are
And as far, I've never seen them open past 9 o'clock, frankly. I mean, I go by there myself every
Right.
day.
But they didn't used to be open beyond 8, and they were part of that. They weren't open before
What
6.
about a sunrise to sundown?
That was, if I could, I was going to propose that as well. I think that would be reasonable. It's not the problem during the day. It's at night when they're glowing. Literally, you can cast shadows inside our house,
Well, that'd be 5 o'clock in the winter.
correct.
Well, I guess I'm not, they've been there for 40 years. I mean, I don't want to say that they're like the Citgo sign, but, this is the first, this is the first complaint that we ever had about this in 40 years. And I'm doing a lot of talking here, and I want everybody else to say something, but I'm not inclined to tip over the whole apple cart based on one complaint in 40 years. So I'll shut up for a while and let my colleagues speak.
What are the current hours?
9 o'clock to 9 o'clock Monday through Saturday, 10 o'clock to 8 o'clock on Sunday.
And what were they back in the 10 years ago?
Variable dependent on season or when Larry wanted to go home.
Okay. So there is a dip. There is to your point, there is a change now than there was when
Well,
you
back in the dark ages, there were no Sunday opening.
Right. I know we have someone online, so I just have one more comment. I know we did the sandwich board a couple months ago, right? Or like a year,
2021.
Yeah, it was
last year.
Last year, yeah.
If that went away or that changed, would that be, to your point about there being more signage, is that an offense, or?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of what you're.
If we said, okay, well, let's find a compromise, keep the existing lights, the historic lights that give a lot of character, maybe get rid of the sandwich shop sign, is that a compromise there?
It's not
It's really
the
the
sandwich board
neons.
that's taken in
Well,
at
yeah.
night, it's the neon lights that are.
That are the big,
They're internally illuminated, they're not,
have the
I
lights?
think we can agree to disagree, but no one's complained because they face two houses, right?
Yeah.
Her parents who have passed away
Yeah.
and us. And so we're the only ones affected by it. No one else cares, everyone probably thinks it's quaint. When they drive by, there's neon lights lighting up the neighborhood, but, it's inconsistent with the zoning laws. I don't know that I agree respectfully with your position on the structure versus an alteration. Because in the beginning of that paragraph, structure and alteration are different. Structure is specifically referenced in the last sentence what you're referring to, so.
Okay.
it
Well,
doesn't
let's hear
refer to it,
from
so.
the other
Sorry, one more
members of
question.
the
I'll say my
board.
piece.
Are you-
One more
you-
question. Is there, as far as lumen outputs, or how, I don't even know how you change a neon light sign color of that. Do you guys have any insight onto if you can dim them, if you put less lumens in?
Not with neon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not with neon, no. And I will say, one of the signs has worn out in probably the last 6 months, so 2/3 of that sign isn't even lit up right now. So it has been reduced. Now, I will add, as far as being on 24/7, when we took the business over, it was business as usual. So I can't speak to that one way or the other. I wish I could. I should have been more observant.
So are they turned off at night now?
Yes, they are. They're only running during operating hours.
Okay. So back to my original statement, is this something where you guys be applicable to more of like a 9 to 5, kind of like,
The only reason why neon lights up is just to that, to attract attention in the dark.
I see we have someone on Zoom who has.
Well, okay, but I just
sorry.
want to hear from any of my colleagues first.
No, I was thinking maybe you kind of split it, and the neon lights, which are probably the most offensive ones, the ones in the windows, which are really the ones shining across the street, maybe they get turned off a little earlier in the evening. Say 8 o'clock, they turn off. You can leave the roof-mounted light that is obvious from both directions traveling, and the end lights, the gable end lights for the wall signage, so that's there. And then obviously you have a lot of light in the, with their plate glass windows there. So maybe just by turning those off, that could be a decent compromise to kind of mellow out the harshness of the neon later at night.
Okay, well, there's someone on Zoom would like to be heard. Identify yourself, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
This is Lee Clee. I live on Margaret Road. When I moved in to the town, it struck me as odd that there was a little store out here in the middle of no place, but it struck me as fine. It struck me as sort of more, mixed habitation, use of land. And I can't speak to neon lights being on late at night. It strikes me as that's a good compromise.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
To your point about I think the roof sign and the end lighting are signs specifically covered under the 1999 decision. So I think we're,
Definitely need a permit to put that roof one on.
but, that, and so, well, I'd say, I mean, I think we want something that's, we want to be fair, but we also want something that's easily or readily enforceable. And so I'm inclined to go with limiting it to business hours. Now, again, I guess we could limit it to the, reference, if we went that way, reference the existing business hours, and if, down the road, we became Florida and had 24-hour liquor stores, they'd have to come back, but we could limit it to their existing business hours, reference them as, finding of fact, which would be 8, what did you say? 8 to 9.
9 to 9.
9 to 9.
Monday through Saturday, 10 to 8 on Sunday.
Okay.
I think that sounds,
May I ask,
Yep.
what is being?
Please just, it's just because we're being recorded.
I'm sorry. May I ask, what is being approved, I don't mean to use the wrong word, but as far as the signage, so if next week someone comes back and says, hey, I can save lots of electricity if I go to an LED, TV screen, and suddenly it's something else, we start going down this slippery slope of it's a different sign, it's got higher output but saves electricity, and everyone's in favor of that, but now we've got something different that's brighter. To your point on lumens, I don't know where the line.
Well, I guess I would, I'd think it'd be reasonable to limit it to signs of the basically like character, including as are there now, no additional signs. And if they came in with something, no flashing signs, because they're not flashing. I mean, I think that's essentially the kind of thing that we did say, at Cumberland Farms. I mean, when we approved signs there, it was a different part of the bylaw, but, the signs can't be flashing and,
I don't believe they have any internally illuminated signs.
No, well, I'm talking about lighting in general. So I would say to limit it to, existing lighting type and size and number and luminosity.
But if you're going to grandfather it in, which it sounds like.
Well, I think it is, my
Right,
view
right,
is.
but shouldn't it be grandfathered to the business hours at which point they're grandfathering back to? Why would it be to today's business hours?
I think that's what I said. I said the existing business hours, and if they,
99 though.
well,
I don't think we have any records of that.
and it sounds like it was very
No.
consistent.
Yeah.
I guess, I take your point.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to do that. I want to deal with, what's before us now. So that's just my view. My colleagues can disagree with me. So, anything else? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to, I guess, grant the appeal of the building inspector's decision regarding the sign to the extent that we find that the signs, the window signs, internally lighted window signs currently there may continue to be there in the same size, luminosity, and number as currently existed, and during current business hours, which are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday. Is there a motion?
Okay.
No, I mean,
Am I a voting person in that?
yeah,
I
I guess David is the, so motion moved by Bruce Gingrich. Is there a second?
I'm still kind of on the fence on this one.
Okay.
Just with the hours, because, 9 o'clock in winter, it's dark a long time. That's a long time to come home and have a light on, shining into your house. I'm just thinking if I was the person across the street, and I get it, we're grandfathered in, or we're using it, and, I'm more apt for maybe like you turn it on when you come home, but there's a respect to other people, the neighbors, and they're coming home from work, nobody wants it shining their light. Again, if it was shining in any of our lights, we'd probably be like, I just got home. That's just my thought on this. And we don't really have full information on what the original schedule was. So I'm just feeling with the light count and the amount that is there, even as a grandfathered in, I have no problem with the side one, the roof one, the other side one, the sandwich bar. If one of them's burning out, maybe take that one down and sleep, and then go from there. And just, because I know, I've driven by it, and it's kind of just second nature. I just see it, and I just drive right by, and I know it's on. But I also get, we have, the light ordinances in town, what's the word I'm looking for?
Night sky.
The night sky ordinance in town. So are we looking at this? Is this going to affect that with it being on? So it's just, the other rules are kind of jumping in my head, that's all. So I just don't feel right now confident to make a straightforward vote on it.
I had two thoughts from what you had to say, David, which was, one, I wonder if you have someone come out and do like a lumen test. I know that's very common in buildings. I don't know if that's common for outside, to see what the output of that is, see if you can put in different bulbs to change the output. And then my second thought was if there could be like an olive branch between the two parties of sort. I don't know what your landscaping's like, but if that's of interest, could there be any bushes put up or anything else that when you come home it's maybe a little bit more tranquil than seeing neon light? Again, that's just none of my business what you guys sort out, but
it is a historic
right.
location, so we have to take that into account too.
I guess to the point about the lights being on at night, yeah, of course, that's when you have lights on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
so,
You probably get a lot of light through that building regardless of neon on or not, because you've got the store lights, and
Yeah.
they're just big plate glass windows that are gonna allow a lot of light to escape. You know, just the picture, see all the shop light, you know, ceiling lights.
I had thought of that in terms of lumen test. What's the difference between without the neon and with the neon?
Right.
Fair.
If there's no
Very
difference,
fair.
then
Probably
there's
not much
no
difference.
argument.
Yeah.
Or a mild difference
Right.
at best.
It's probably just the aesthetic of it, right?
Yeah.
And
Aesthetic
color.
of
I always thought it was a little
aesthetic and
funky.
feel of neon versus.
So are you,
I'm just saying, based off of the night light regulation we have, and with how bright they're claiming it to be, is one ordinance violating the other? And that's what I want to clarify.
is,
You want to know, does the neon provide more output that puts you over
Yeah, so if, or
Ordinance?
is this store being in a residential, even though it's grandfathered, is the looms being presented, coming off of this building, higher than what we would have allowed with the night sky ordinance in town?
this is getting way more complicated.
Yeah.
Again,
yeah.
it's just that, because we talked about this with the affordable housing project, you know, we're like, how bright is it gonna be? How light is this gonna be? Do we fall into kind of
That kind of falls more into the site lighting. Well, this is more of light coming out of the building itself.
but it's like,
You got the light, obviously you have the light on the side of the building, those are shining onto the,
yeah, those are shining
The wall.
directly on, this is
they're
shining,
not shining up.
yeah, and
It's
this
more of
is,
the up light,
so
up
that's,
and out light.
yeah, that's just kind of, this is kind of where I am with this one particular thing. I would just, I'd rather go for clarification, make sure.
Okay, so, well, it sounds like, because I guess, well, I mean, I can always change my mind, but I guess I'd say I'll be honest, I'm fairly dug in on where I am now. So, I think if we're, it sounds like we may have to continue this, but I think if we're gonna do that, then we should be clear on what we're, what somebody is gonna have to
Yeah.
find. And I mean, I'm sure, I assume, lumen testers, I'm sure they're out there, but that costs money. I mean, I assume that's, so,
Well, we could each stop by at night and
Yeah,
have
that's,
them switch on and off the lights and see what,
that's kind of,
see what
literally
it
what I
does,
was gonna
yeah.
go do. I was gonna drive over there after this and see.
well, that'd be an unusual, site walk, but we could do a site walk
We'll do a site walk.
some evening.
Into our home, into our second bedroom where my daughter sleeps.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess that's, so, I mean, I didn't do,
Any girls.
I didn't do a site walk, but I did drive by and I said, when I inquired, okay, well, how did this come about? And they said, well, there was a complaint by a neighbor, and I got the name of the neighbor, and, I didn't have to be Sam Spade to figure out,
Yeah.
where you lived. And unless, you're saying you're right across the street, that's not what it looks like where your mailbox is. So I'm questioning that,
Our mailbox is next door in the yellow post office, but we live down across.
but there's a house number. Well, so let's do a site walk. I'm available, I mean, it has, most evenings,
I said we swing.
Hello.
Right after this.
yeah, you had,
Just a couple of quick questions for the two gentlemen. As I look at this photograph, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 signs. It occurs to me, how much of that do you need? Yeah, it seems like so much of this is repetitive. It would seem to me like if you would be willing to reduce some of your signage there, it might be a short route between here and working cooperatively with your neighbors in a way that you get what you need and they get some relief from the excessive lighting that you're clearly propelling. Let me ask you another way. Would you be willing
You've
to
been working for the
reduce-
planning board way too long, Patrick.
Would you be willing to reduce some of that signage? I'll leave that as a rhetorical for you.
So, you know, a site walk, I mean, basically, I mean, you know, we have to have the permission of the, you have to have the permission of the landowner, but since this is a public business, I think that probably is, they'll allow it. So I guess, you know, it's, we basically just go on an evening and have them, you know, we kind of look at the site. So I'm pretty flexible in an evening. I'm thinking some evening like around 8 o'clock when it is getting dark and,
Yeah,
you know, so between now and May. So if people want to look at their calendars and we, I mean, I think we can,
Can I just check one? I'm sorry to interrupt. In the interest of not wasting your time, and in the interest of extending an olive branch, could we agree on what I would think is a more reasonable time, at least in my perspective? I'm not going to go back to 1999, but, you know, if it were 8 p.m. across the board, Monday through Sunday, off at 8.
So simple.
Yeah.
No one's out,
I
lumen, not, you
I
know.
would vote for that.
Business owners?
the window neon lights.
The
is
window
what you're
Yeah, I'm
referring-
sorry. Just the window, yeah, the window neon lights. The roof sign's fine, the end ones are very classy. It's just it's the ones projecting directly at our house, the big ones in the windows. Off
you're-
at,
I'm the owner, I say yes.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
we go.
Well, good, that's.
there we go.
Okay, then, I guess I would amend my previous motion, just to change the hours that they can be lighted from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday. Is there a, that
Motion.
moved, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second. All those in any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, same, thank you for, same as deal, I have 14 days to write a decision and file it. You'll receive a copy, and that's the story.
Thank you.
And there's a, you know, I mean, there's a 20-day appeal period, but thank you. Thank you all.
Can you just put those on a timer, so they just automatically go off at 8 o'clock?
Yeah, they'll set it up, I'll
Okay.
have the manager take care of it,
Okay,
no problem.
all right. That'd be great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is petition of Paul Tober, 438 Asbury Street. That's being continued to May 3rd at the request of the applicant. And then we have a hearing on the property at 11 Russ Street for Sarah and Douglas Cook, under bylaw section 5.3.4.5 to create a full second floor of living area, add a front porch and a bay window. So I assume, if you'd come to tell us what you're proposing.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Cook. My husband and I bought 11 Russ Street in 2018, and we'd like to just expand the second floor to be the full footprint of the house. Currently, it's 3 bedrooms, but one of the bedrooms is in the basement. So we're actually just making all 3 bedrooms upstairs, and the basement will no longer be finished space. So it's not changing the size of the house really significantly, just the nature of the living space. And I think I was told that I needed a finding because the overall height of that part of the house is increasing. So
Right.
That's why I'm here.
But, excuse me, you're saying it'll stay within the existing footprint?
Yes, it stays within the existing footprint with the exception of the porch.
Okay. So,
We are also demolishing the current back deck, so it's sort of just switching a back deck for a front porch.
okay. Let me see here.
That fence
Oh, okay.
is right on that. You see
Yeah, it's sitting right on the
that,
property.
that fence is right there.
So is that your fence?
I don't actually know. I think it's Steve Ozahowski's fence.
Does that run the full length of your, about down the backside of your house?
It does, yeah. But it's not on the property line. It's actually on our property, but I don't know. I think the Ozahowskis installed it, I believe.
Yeah, because it's saying, your site plan saying 2.7 feet to your property line, but that fence is 6 inches.
Yes.
Okay, could you just come on, since I don't read plans as well as brother, or, well, it's mainly, so this is the
Back deck.
that's there now,
Yes.
and where's the,
Oh, yeah, yours is not in color, so yeah,
so then just show me where the new
So,
deck is gonna
so
be.
the new deck's gonna be in this inside corner here, behind the face of
Oh.
the existing house, so it's gonna
Okay.
be in this area. So
Okay,
it's not protruding any closer
so
to
there's
the road.
no further encroachment on setbacks
Right, now it's
Oh,
3
so
feet, 3 feet further
under
back.
that Brookline case, which we could allow it, but we don't have to, but there's no, so, okay.
Yeah.
Questions from my colleagues?
What's the second floor being used for?
Currently, it's 2 bedrooms and no bathroom, and it will be 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom.
Septic is fine. Like, or did you say you're adding bathrooms?
Right. Yes, so it'll go from 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom to 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. And I got a sign off on the septic plan from the septic inspector already. I think that's attached as an email, I believe.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Not organized.
Let's see if the front porch there.
Questions from my colleagues?
Yeah, I drove around there today, and this addition's not gonna make it any bigger than any other house around. It's gonna fit in well with the neighborhood.
Okay.
The budding house is on the far end of the lot that they're uptight against, so
Any
it's not like
questions
they're
from
casting shadows.
anybody on the Zoomosphere? No? Then I'd entertain a motion to grant the finding under the
I motion to grant.
section. Is there a second? Bruce?
I'll second it, yes.
Are there any specific conditions we want to have? No? If not,
No, as long as the front porch doesn't get any closer than what's on the plan there.
then, if no further questions or comments, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Same deal, I'll file a decision within 14 days, then the 20 days has to run, then you can get your building permit.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you all for staying.
Okay. Finally, we do have some minutes of the March meeting to approve. Any questions or comments about the minutes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the March 1st, 2023 minutes.
I motion to approve the March 2023 minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, the March minutes are approved. Don't believe there's anything else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you and good night.